Morning light came in through the big windows of the apartment, soft and warm. Nia Carter arrived 5 minutes early, as she always did. She took off her shoes by the door and slipped into clean house slippers that she kept in a little bag. She washed her hands for a full 20 seconds at the kitchen sink, humming a quiet tune under her breath. The apartment was quiet, but not for long. From the nursery, a small sound came through the baby monitor, just a soft coo, the kind that meant Maya would wake up happy. Nia checked the daily list on the fridge. She liked lists. They made her feel calm and ready. The list had simple items: sanitized bottles, mixed formula, warm water, tummy time, nap, fresh air if weather allowed. She touched the magnet pen to the first line and wrote the time. Then she opened the lower cabinet where everything was clean and neat. She had put labels on each bottle the first week she started, with tiny color dots so no one mixed them up. Blue dot was for the morning bottle, green dot for midday, yellow for afternoon. It made her smile to see them all lined up like little soldiers. In the nursery, 7-month-old Maya wiggled under her cotton sleep sack and gave Nia a wide, gummy smile. "Good morning, sunshine," Nia said, her voice soft and friendly. She checked Maya's diaper, changed it carefully, and then washed her hands again with the travel soap she kept in her pocket. She turned on gentle music and did a quick safety check. Crib rails, nothing loose, no small items on the floor. Nia liked to say to herself, safety first, every time, because it helped her stay focused. In the home office, Ethan Ward, Maya's father, stood in a crisp white shirt with the sleeves rolled up. He was a CEO, and his calendar was full. But when he saw Nia pass with the baby in her arms, he paused his typing and smiled. "All good?" "All good," Nia said. "Blue dot bottle in 5 minutes. She slept well." "Thank you," he said, and the thanks sounded real. On her first day, he had asked a lot of questions. Now he trusted her. He trusted her because she always told him what she did and why she did it. He trusted her because when she didn't know something, she said so, then looked it up and asked the pediatrician. He trusted her because she kept the logbook and the logbook never forgot. The morning moved with a calm rhythm. Nia warmed the bottle by placing it in warm water for a few minutes and checked the temperature on the inside of her wrist. She fed Maya while sitting in the big blue chair. She didn't rush. She held Maya at a slight angle so the baby would be comfortable. After a few ounces, she paused for a burp, then another few ounces, and another burp. Tiny steps, simple steps, all the safe steps. She wrote each detail in the logbook. Time started, time paused, ounces finished, diaper status, mood, and one small note. Loved the new rainbow rattle. At 10, Maya had tummy time on the soft mat. Nia placed a roll of towels under her chest to help her push up and look around. "You're getting strong," Nia said, and the baby kicked like she agreed. The apartment smelled faintly of lemon cleaner, the mild, baby-safe kind that Nia used. Sun touched the floor in thin lines, and for a moment everything felt easy. Shortly before noon, the doorbell rang. Nia lifted Maya into her arms and peered through the screen. A woman stood outside, tall, perfectly dressed with a soft shawl and neatly done hair. Her perfume felt like a garden after rain, pretty but strong. Nia opened the door with a small smile. "Hello. I'm Valerie," the woman said. "Ethan's stepmother." "Oh," Nia said, holding Maya a little closer. She had met many family members and neighbors in other homes. Some were kind, some were not. She kept her voice polite. "Come in." Valerie walked inside with confident steps and took a slow look around the living room, the kitchen, the small box of toys near the couch. Her eyes noted everything. "You must be the caregiver," she said. "Yes, I'm Nia," Nia said. "Welcome." Valerie gave a brief nod and reached out for Maya's hand. "Hello, little one," she said. "My sweet girl." She kissed the tiny fingers. Maya blinked and then smiled, as she often did with friendly faces. Ethan came out from the office with a surprised smile. "Valerie, I didn't know you were coming today. I was on this side of town." Valerie said lightly. I couldn't resist seeing my granddaughter. She brushed a small piece of lint from her sleeve. I brought her a lovely blanket. From a boutique. Merino wool. Very soft. She handed a wrapped parcel to Ethan, and he passed it to Naya with a gentle look as if to say, Please see where it fits. Nia smiled, thanked her, and went to the nursery. She placed the blanket on the dresser and ran her fingers across the fabric. It was soft, yes, but thick and warm, more suited to colder weather. The label smelled faintly of a strong fabric softener, the kind Nia avoided for babies with delicate skin. She noted this in her mind and chose to wait. There was no reason to use a new item right now. Back in the living room, Valerie had settled on the couch and was watching Nia closely, as if Nia were a student in a class. How often does she eat? Valerie asked. Every 3 hours, Nia said, unless she shows hunger cues earlier. Rooting, hands to mouth. I follow her signals. Valerie's lips pressed together in a thoughtful line. And the water? You're not using tap water, I hope. We use filtered water, Nia said. It's in the logbook, I can show you. I trust you have your methods, Valerie said lightly, but her tone asked for more. She stood and drifted to the kitchen, where the bottles dried on a clean rack. She picked up a bottle and held it to the light. How do you warm it? In a bowl of warm water, Nia answered. Not hot, I tested on my wrist. Valerie nodded slowly. I used to warm bottles on the stovetop, she said. It seemed faster. I understand, Nia said, staying calm. This keeps the temperature even, and it's safer. Ethan's phone buzzed. He checked the screen and walked toward the office door. I have a call I can't move, he said. He looked at both of them, wanting peace in the space. I'll be just in here. Then he closed the door behind him. Valerie and Nia stood for a brief moment in the quiet kitchen. Neither woman wanted trouble. Both loved the same baby. Still, the air felt tight like a string pulled across a violin. Nap is in 15 minutes, Nia said softly. I'll read to her, then put her down in her sleep sack. She can try my blanket, Valerie said. It's special. Babies like soft things. She smiled a little smile that held a request and an expectation at the same time. Nia kept her voice gentle. It's beautiful, she said. And that was true. Right now we keep to her usual items. It helps her settle. New textures sometimes bother her skin. She did not say the part about the scent of the fabric softener. She just kept her tone warm and steady. Valerie's eyes moved from the blanket to Nia's face, studying. You've been here how long? 3 months, Nia said. I also worked as an infant caregiver before this job. I took a newborn care course last year and infant CPR this spring. I keep the certificates in a folder if you want to see them. You keep records for everything, Valerie said. Half question, half observation. I do, Nia said. It helps keep Maya safe. And it helps Mr. Ward know exactly what happens when he's working. The baby yawned. Nia smiled down at her. Nap time, little one. She walked to the nursery and did the pre-nap routine. Lights down, blackout shade half closed, sound machine on at a low level, 1 page of a tiny board book with bright pictures. She zipped Maya into the cotton sleep sack. The crib was simple and safe. Flat sheet, firm mattress, no pillows, no stuffed toys. Nia placed Maya on her back with care, patted her tummy in a slow rhythm, and hummed a few bars of the same tune she had used since the first week. Maya's eyes grew heavy. She sighed and settled. Valerie came to the nursery doorway and watched. The new blanket lay folded on the dresser. Just a corner at her feet? She asked. It would look sweet. Nia shook her head kindly. We follow safe sleep rules, nothing loose in the crib. She kept her voice matter-of-fact, not sharp, because she knew how easy it was to make someone feel judged. I'll note the blanket in the logbook and ask the pediatrician about the best time to introduce something like that. Maybe when she's older. Valerie said nothing for a moment. Then she nodded and stepped back. Fine, she said softly. In the living room, they spoke in low voices so the baby could sleep. Valerie asked more questions, about formula brands, about air filters, about the stroller harness. Nia answered each one clearly. She even brought out the folder with her certificates. She smiled and returned the folder to the shelf. She offered Valerie tea, which she declined. She offered water, which Valerie accepted. Nia made sure to use a clean glass and a coaster. Small things matter. They show care. Half an hour later, a tiny sound came from the monitor. Maya had turned her head to one side and let out a brief cry, the kind that often ended by itself. Nia watched the screen. "She might soothe herself," she said in a gentle whisper. Valerie leaned forward. "She sounds upset," she said. "Maybe she's too cold. The blanket would help." "It's part of her normal cycle," Nia said. "She stirs and then settles. If she doesn't, I'll go in." They waited. The sound machine made a soft shushing noise. Maya's cry faded to a sleepy sigh. Nia's shoulders relaxed. "There," she said with a small smile. When nap time ended, Nia lifted the baby and saw something small, just a faint pink mark on the cheek where skin had pressed against the sheet. A little heat, maybe from the baby's drool. Nia touched it very lightly, with the back. The day moved into early afternoon with a steady rhythm. The kitchen was warm from sunlight and a soft breeze came in through the small balcony door. Nia checked the time on the oven clock and wrote, 12:45, begin warming blue dot bottle, in the logbook with her neat handwriting. She washed her hands, set a small pot of warm water on the counter, and placed the bottle in it to warm slowly. Maya sat in her baby seat, watching the little rainbow roll back and forth, calm and curious. Valerie sat at the table, hands folded, eyes on every step Nia took. "Do you always warm it in water?" Valerie asked, voice light but searching. "Yes," Nia said. "It keeps the temperature even. It is safer for the bottle and for the baby." "In my day, we held it near the stove," Valerie said. "It was quick. We knew by touch." "I understand," Nia said. "This way is simple and steady. No hot spots." Valerie rose from the chair and walked to the counter. "Let me help," she said. She lifted the bottle from the water, then set it back down. "No, perhaps not yet." She opened a cabinet, then another. She found a small cup, rinsed it, and left it on the counter near the bottle warmer. Her perfume made a small cloud in the air. "Sometimes a little something sweet calms a fussy baby," she added. "A drop can settle the tummy." Nia's eyes moved to the counter and landed on a jar of honey near the tea kettle. It had not been there in the morning. She felt a tiny knot form in her chest. She kept her tone even. "I have to be careful with new foods. The pediatrician says no honey for infants." Valerie's eyebrows lifted a little. "One tiny bit? For comfort?" "No," Nia said softly but firmly. "Not at this age." Valerie did not reply. She returned to her chair, but her gaze stayed fixed on Nia's hands. Nia checked the bottle temperature on her wrist, just right. She dried the outside with a clean towel and wrote, 12:55, temp check OK, in the logbook. She lifted Maya gently and brought her to the big blue chair. She settled her with care, head supported, angle correct, bib in place. She touched the bottle to the baby's lips. Maya latched and began to drink, slow and steady at first. Valerie watched the baby's every swallow. "She seems hungry," she said. "Maybe faster?" "We let her lead," Nia said. "She takes what she needs." 2 minutes passed. 3. Maya drank, then paused, then drank again. Nia's finger stayed near the base of the nipple to control flow, just the way she learned. She hummed a tiny tune under her breath. It made the baby's eyes relax. For a moment, all was calm. Then Maya made a small cough, like air caught in her throat. Nia paused at once and lifted her carefully to burp. She waited, rubbed gently in small circles, and a soft burp came up. She smiled and praised her in her kind, warm way. She offered the bottle again, and Maya took more. At that moment, Ethan's office door opened. He walked into the kitchen area with a phone in his hand. "I'm about to be on a live meeting," he said. "Do you need anything before I go back?" "We're fine," Nia said. "Feeding on schedule. Good, he said. He looked at Valerie. Can I get you sparkling water or tea? I'm fine, Valerie said, standing. Just watching my granddaughter eat her lunch. Ethan smiled. All right, I'll be 20 minutes. He stepped back into the office and closed the door, the glass panel catching a bit of light. Maya drank the final ounce. Nia took the bottle away, wiped the baby's mouth, and lifted her for another burp. The burp came with a small spit-up, just a little. It landed on the bib, not a drop on the baby's clothes. Nia stayed calm. She changed the bib and cleaned the baby's chin with a soft cloth. She wrote the time and ounces in the logbook. She made a small note. Minor spit-up after finish. No distress, normal. Valerie stood up quickly, concern in her voice. She's upset. She spit up. Is the formula mixed right? Are you sure that bottle was clean? It was clean and labeled, Nia said. Blue dot. Mixed at 9:30. I wrote it down. Valerie's eyes moved to the bottle rack. You have so many steps. Sometimes simple is better. Simple and safe, Nia said in a gentle tone. That's what I aim for. Maya made a soft cry and pulled her knees up, one of her usual post-feed behaviors. Nia rubbed her back again. The baby relaxed. Then a minute later, a short, louder cry came. Not a long cry and not a scream. Just a strong, sudden sound of discomfort, the kind that says, I need a moment. She hiccuped once. Valerie flinched and stared at Nia. She's uncomfortable, she said. Something is wrong. She might have swallowed air, Nia said. Hiccups happen. Valerie put out her hands. Give her to me. I'll soothe her. Nia passed Maya over with care and watched. Valerie rocked the baby and patted her back in a brisk rhythm. The baby calmed, then hiccuped again. A little spit-up came, more than before. And now Valerie's silk blouse had a spot. The baby's face reddened from the effort of hiccups. It was still not extreme, still in the normal range, but it did not look gentle. See? Valerie said. This is not right. She turned to the kitchen sink and dabbed her blouse with a cloth. This is why I worry about methods I don't know. Nia felt her stomach tighten, but her voice was steady. It can happen after a feeding, she said. I'll take her back and hold her upright for a few minutes. It helps. Valerie handed the baby back, but her face held a new tension. She sat down and folded her arms. She watched as Nia held the baby on her shoulder and walked slowly around the living room, step by step, whispering little silly lines like, up we go, gentle and slow, because Maya always liked the sound of those words. The baby's hiccups spaced out. Her face softened. In a few minutes, the sound stopped. Nia smiled with quiet relief. Better, she said. She kissed the air near Maya's ear, not the skin, so no oil from her lips would touch the baby's cheek. She wrote in the logbook again. Hiccups for 3 minutes, resolved with upright hold. Valerie stood. She moved to the counter and tapped the logbook with a perfectly manicured finger. You write everything down. It helps, Nia said. It keeps us accountable. Accountable, Valerie repeated softly. Her eyes slid to the honey jar again, then back to Nia. I still think something was wrong with that bottle. It was the same ratio as always, Nia said calmly. 2 scoops to 4 ounces of filtered water. Filtered water, Valerie said. She took a breath and let it out slowly. And the bottles? Did you sanitize them today? Every day, Nia said. Boiled on Sunday, washed after each use. Valerie's mouth set into a careful line. I want Ethan to check this, now. Nia looked at the office door. The light on Ethan's desk phone was red. The glass showed his shape, head bent, talking. He had said 20 minutes. 10 had passed. He is in a meeting, Nia said. I will send him a message. He will come when he's free. I will. Call him, Valerie said. She pulled out her phone, then paused. She did not want to interrupt a business call without a reason that sounded strong. She walked to the nursery instead and stood at the door looking at the crib. The new wool blanket sat folded on the dresser, untouched. Valerie picked it up and touched her cheek to it. It smelled sweet and floral. "This is good quality," she said, almost to herself. Nia followed, keeping the baby upright. "It is soft," she said. "We can use it when she is older." Valerie lowered the blanket and turned. "You think I do not know what babies need, but I raised a child. I raised Ethan. I have seen fevers, coughs, long nights. I know when something is wrong." "I believe you have great experience," Nia said, sincere and warm. "I also follow current guidance. It changes. Some old tips are not used now. I try to keep up with the latest advice from the doctor." "Current guidance," Valerie said quietly. Her fingers held the blanket a little tighter. "And what about common sense? A drop of something sweet to settle a tummy? A cozy blanket at nap time? These are not crimes." "They are not crimes," Nia said, gentle as a lullaby. "They can still be unwise for a baby this age." They stood for a long moment in the soft light of the nursery. Maya, sensing the quiet, laid her head on Nia's shoulder and yawned. The tension felt like a thin thread pulled between the two women. Neither wanted to cut it. Neither knew how to soften it alone. Ethan's office door opened again. He stepped out, meeting over. He saw the scene in the nursery doorway, Nia holding the baby, Valerie with the blanket in her hands, both faces calm but tight. "What happened?" he asked, voice careful, ready to listen. Valerie spoke first, quick and earnest. "Something is wrong with the feeding," she said. She spit up twice. She had hiccups and a red face. "I don't think the bottle was right. I don't think the method is right." Ethan looked at Nia. Nia spoke clearly, with no rush. "She ate 4 ounces as planned. We burped halfway through. She spit up a little after the first burp and a little more after I passed her to Valerie. Hiccups lasted 3 minutes. She's fine now. I wrote everything in the logbook. The bottle was the blue dot, mixed at 9:30 with filtered water. I checked the temperature on my wrist." Valerie held out her hands, asking for the baby. Ethan took his daughter first, kissed her head, then handed her to Valerie. "She feels warm," Valerie said, alarmed again. "Do we have a thermometer?" "In the drawer," Nia said. She brought it and waited. Valerie checked Maya's forehead. "Normal." Valerie looked unsure for a second, then set the thermometer down. Ethan rubbed his forehead, trying to find the right step. "Thank you both," he said. He kept his voice even, kind. "We can check the facts together. We have the logbook. There are cameras in the kitchen and the nursery. We have the SMA." Ethan closed the office door behind him and sat at his desk with a careful breath. He opened the Nanny Cam app, slipped on his headphones, and scrolled back through the timeline. He set the playback speed to normal. He did not want to miss a small move. He watched the kitchen first. The camera was steady and clear, pointed at the counter, the drying rack, and the stove area. The timestamp ran across the bottom like a slow river. He saw Nia wash her hands and place the bottle in the bowl of warm water. He saw her check the temperature on her wrist, write a line in the logbook, and lift Maya with gentle arms. Nothing rushed, nothing sloppy. Then he saw Valerie enter the frame. She looked calm, almost casual. She opened a cabinet, took out a small cup, and rinsed it. Ethan leaned closer to the screen. Valerie set the cup down next to the bottle. She moved toward the tea area. The honey jar was not there earlier in the morning. Now it stood next to the kettle, lit off for a moment, then on again. Valerie picked up a spoon, dipped it into her cup, and came back toward the bottle. Ethan felt his shoulders tense. He slowed the playback and watched frame by frame. Valerie tapped the spoon against the bottle nipple once, twice, like a tiny knock. The sound was too soft to hear on the recording, but the motion was clear. Then she set the spoon down, wiped her fingers with a napkin, and walked to the table. It took 5 seconds. It looked like nothing, like a small routine movement, but it was not nothing to Ethan. It was a change. It was an extra step that did not belong. He pulled off the headphones for a moment and sat back. He rubbed his eyes the way people do when they want a clear mind. He put the headphones on again and checked the nursery camera next. He watched the earlier nap. He saw Nia do the routine she always did. Lights low, sound machine on, sleep sack zipped, baby placed on back, a gentle pat. He saw the new wool blanket folded and resting on the dresser untouched. He saw Valerie at the door watching. He saw Nia shake her head with a kind smile when Valerie asked to add the blanket. No unsafe items entered the crib. No sudden movements. The nap was quiet and normal. Maya stirred once and settled. Later, when Nia picked her up, the camera caught the faint pink spot on the cheek when her face turned toward the lens. He returned to the kitchen video and watched the feeding again. From the start. He saw Nia hold Maya at a slight angle, pause for a burp, then continue. Exactly as she had said. He saw the first small spit-up happen while Maya was on Nia's shoulder. A small spot. He saw Valerie ask to hold the baby. He saw the second, larger spit-up happen in Valerie's arms when the hiccups came. He paused the video and watched each, movement twice. No rough motion, no panic, just a baby with a little air in her tummy and a day with more eyes than usual. Ethan clicked the timestamp and took a screenshot of the spoon tap. He did not want to jump to a conclusion too fast, but he needed the facts to be clear in his own mind. He opened a notepad on the screen and wrote a simple list. 12:45 bottle warming, Nia. 12:50, Valerie rinses a cup, honey jar present. 12:53, spoon to cup, then spoon taps bottle nipple. 12:55, feeding begins, Nia. 12:58, small spit up after first burp, Nia holding. 13:02, hiccups and larger spit up, Valerie holding. He saved the file. Then he opened the shared household app where he and Nia kept the care plan and photos. He tapped through the morning entries. He checked the formula record Nia made at 9:30. It matched the logbook on the counter. 2 scoops, 4 ounces, filtered water. He liked that the numbers matched in 2 places. It was a small comfort. He picked up his phone and called the pediatrician's office. A nurse answered after 2 rings, cheerful and kind. He explained the exact steps of the day in plain words. He did not say any names. He did not say who did what. He wanted the nurse to hear only the facts. 7-month-old, he said. Normal bottle amount. 2 brief spit-ups. A few minutes of hiccups. A faint pink mark on cheek after nap. 1 new wool blanket present in the room earlier, not used. 1 adult mentioned a drop of something sweet to calm a baby. We do not give. Honey, and I want to confirm best practices. The nurse listened and asked small questions to pin down the moments. She said hiccups after a feeding are common. She said 2 brief spit-ups can be normal too, especially if the baby swallowed air. She said to hold the baby upright for a few minutes and to keep the next feeding slow and calm. She said a new fabric with a strong scent could cause skin irritation on the face. She reviewed the simple guidance they always gave. Safe sleep with nothing loose in the crib, no honey at all before age 1, no herbal teas or home remedies without a doctor's plan. For pink spots on the cheek, the nurse added, wipe the area with cool water, use fragrance-free detergents, and watch if it fades within a day. If the rash spreads, call us. Ethan thanked her. He wrote the main points down and then opened the closet where they kept baby items. He found the laundry basket and brought out the extra sheet set. He held it to his nose. No scent. He checked the wool blanket again. The smell was strong, even from a distance. He looked at the tag. The print said, merino wool, dry clean, softener used. There was even a small care card from the boutique with fragrance notes listed like a perfume bottle. He placed the blanket in a fabric storage bin and put the bin on a high shelf. His hand shook just a little when he closed the door, not from anger but from the weight of being a father who needed to make the right call. He returned to his desk and opened his email. There was a new message from the agency Nia worked with, forwarded to him by Nia earlier in the week. He clicked it. The subject line was simple. Clarification request home remedy. The timestamp was from 2 days ago at 11:12 a.m. Nia had written, hello, I want to confirm best practice. A family member suggested a home remedy for fussiness. I declined because baby is under 1 and I follow pediatric guidance. I want to make sure I handle this politely and safely. Please advise. The agency's reply said she had done the right thing, and that they would remind all families of safety rules in their next newsletter. Ethan felt a quiet rush of gratitude for her careful steps and for the paper trail that showed them. It was not about blame. It was about truth. Ethan stood and went to the kitchen. He did not want to make a scene. He wanted to stitch a clear path from evidence to action. Valerie looked up from the couch, the baby now resting against her shoulder, calm and heavy with the pleasant tiredness that follows a small fuss. Nia stood at the counter, checking a clean bottle for the next feeding time and writing a line in the logbook. Both women turned their faces to him with a mix of hope and worry. "I spoke with the nurse," he said, voice steady. "She says the hiccups and 2 small spit-ups can be normal. We should hold her upright after feedings, go slow, and keep the next bottle calm. She says no honey at all before 1 year, no home remedies, and keep fragrance-free items near her skin. For the cheek, cool water and watch." Valerie gave a small nod. "That makes sense," she said, but her eyes stayed guarded, like someone waiting for the rest of a sentence. "I also reviewed the videos," Ethan said. He kept his tone level and kind. "They helped me see the exact steps. It shows the bottle warming, the feeding, the burps, and the moments with the hiccups. It also shows a spoon touch the bottle nipple before the feeding. I need us all to agree that nothing touches the bottle or the nipple except the bottle itself and the baby's mouth, not even a little taste of something sweet. That is what the nurse says, that is what the care plan already says." Silence passed between them like a slow wave. Nia's eyes softened, not in triumph but in relief. Valerie's hands adjusted the baby very slightly, the way people do when they want to steady themselves. She did not speak yet, but a small change in her face showed she understood what he had seen. Ethan did not push. This was still the middle of the day. This was still part 3 of a story, the part where facts gather and shape the next choice. He walked to the fridge and opened the farcer. "We will keep all feeding items in this section," he said, touching a clean bin. "Only formula, filtered water, and clean bottles. Teas and sweet things go on the top shelf far away and not for the baby. We will write this rule down and sign it." Nia picked up a sticky note and wrote the rule in simple words. She stuck it on the inside of the fridge door for now, the way people put a reminder where they will see it every hour. She added the rule to the shared app too, so it would live in their phones and not just on paper. Ethan walked to the nursery and lifted the wool blanket from the dresser. He brought it back to the living room and held it gently. "This is lovely," he said. "We will keep it for when she is older. For now, no new fabrics with strong scents. The nurse reminded me to keep to fragrance-free items. I will put this away." Valerie reached out and touched the blanket with her fingertips. "It is soft," she said, and her voice was soft too now. "I did not know about the scents." "I will send you the care plan," Nia said quickly, kind and practical. "It has the short list we use: safe sleep, feeding steps, items we avoid. It is not long. It helps." Valerie nodded. "Yes," she said, almost in a whisper. "Send it." Maya stirred and made a small sound like a bird in a tree. Nia took her with a smile that had no edges. "Upright hold for 5 minutes," she said, walking slowly as she had earlier, step steady, voice soft. The apartment returned to a gentle R. Ethan waited until the room felt calm enough to hold an honest talk. He looked at Nia, then at Valerie, and then at Maya, sleeping now against Nia's shoulder, her breath soft and even. His voice was steady and kind. He said he wanted them to sit in the living room where the light was gentle and the coffee table gave everyone a place to rest their hands. They sat with a small space between them, not far, not close, and the silence felt like the moment just before a soft rain. Ethan began with the point they all agreed on, the one truth bigger than any fear or pride. "We all love this child," he said. "Maya comes first." The words landed in the room and stayed there, clear and simple. Nia nodded. Valerie nodded, too, her eyes on the baby as if the small rise and fall of the little chest could show her how to breathe. Ethan chose his next words with care. He said the videos helped him understand the steps. He said the nurse gave practical advice that was easy to follow. He did not accuse, he did not use sharp words. He described what he saw the way a careful person describes a landscape on a map. This happened here, and then this, And then this. He mentioned the spoon tapping the bottle nipple. He said the care plan already states that nothing touches a feeding item except clean, approved tools. He spoke about the scented blanket. He explained why new fabrics with fragrance can bother a baby's skin. He kept his tone even and respectful. The facts were enough. He did not need heavy emotion to push them forward. Valerie looked down at her hands. She was not a careless person. She was used to being wise in a house, the person who knew old methods that worked when times were hard and money was thin. She had soothed babies long before apps and lists and camera logs. She had a memory of rocking a feverish child in a small room with one window and a fan that squeaked. She had a memory of placing a cool cloth on a hot forehead and of whispering songs from her own mother. In that memory, small comforts were love. In this room, with a modern plan and a tiny screen that showed every move, she felt out of place and a little ashamed. When she finally spoke, her voice was quiet. "I wanted to help," she said. "I wanted her to stop crying faster. I did not think a tiny drop could harm anything. I did not know about the scent rules. I did not mean to make things hard." Naya listened the way a good caregiver listens, without rushing to fix, without needing to be right. She felt a soft ache for Valerie. She knew what it was like to stand in a home and feel someone's eyes judge every move. She also knew that safety was not a matter of opinion. Babies do not care about pride. They need consistent, simple steps. Nia chose words that held both truth and kindness. "I believe you wanted to help," she said. "I also have to follow. What keeps Maya safe? When I am here, I am responsible. If I make a mistake, the mistake is mine. That is why I keep records. That is why I say no to some things even when it is awkward. I want us to be on the same page, so we don't have to feel this tension again." Ethan leaned forward and placed a folder on the table. Inside were 3 papers already printed. A 1-page infant care protocol, a short list of always and never, and a shared contact sheet for the pediatrician and the agency. He had made the font big and clear. He had used simple words, on purpose. Always wash hands. Always use filtered water. Always test bottle temperature on wrist. Always hold upright for a few minutes after feeding. Never add anything sweet. Never add unapproved herbs or drinks. Never put loose items in the crib. Never use scented fabric next to the baby's skin. At the bottom, he had left space for names and dates. "This is not a legal document," he said. "This is a promise that we will all do the same steps. If we want to change something, we will do it together, and we will ask the doctor first." Valerie read the page slowly. She traced the words with her finger as if touching them could make them sink in deeper. When she reached the line about sweet things, her finger paused. She closed her eyes and took a breath. When she opened them, she looked at Nia. "I am sorry," she said, and the words were plain and honest. "I said you did not understand. I said you were wrong. I made you feel small in the house where you work hard every day. That was not fair." She turned to Ethan. "I made you worry when you needed to focus. That was not fair either." Naya felt the tightness in her chest loosen. She was not a person who needed large apologies. She valued small actions that matched the words. Still, the apology mattered. It was like opening a window after a long, stuffy day. She nodded. "Thank you," she said. "I accept. Let us write the rules down and follow them." Ethan slid pens across the table. They signed their names. Naya dated it next to her name with neat numbers. Valerie did the same, her hand steady now. Ethan signed last. Then he placed the protocol in a clear sleeve and clipped it to a small stand on the kitchen counter where the logbook lived. He took a photo of it and uploaded it to their shared app so it would sit in all their phones, ready to be checked anytime, anywhere. The talk did not end with signatures. The next part was about how to change small habits so the home would feel safe and calm. Nia suggested a visitor basket by the door for personal items that might carry strong scents, shawls, scarves, perfumes, not to judge, just to keep the nursery area neutral. Valerie agreed and even offered to buy a pretty basket with a lid so it would look like part of the home, not a warning sign. Ethan suggested they keep all sweet foods and teas on a top shelf, in a closed cabinet far from feeding items. He promised to add small child-proof latches not because of the adults but because babies grow, and curious hands reach everything faster than you expect. They also talked about communication. Nia asked for a simple rule. When someone brings a new item for the baby, it should be shown to her before it reaches the nursery. Not because she wanted control, but because she needed consistency. Valerie agreed. She asked for something too. If she had a worry, could they pause a moment and check together before it grows into a big feeling? Ethan agreed to that at once. He would be the bridge if the day was busy. He would step out of a call for 2 minutes if needed, to prevent a small worry from becoming a storm. Maya stirred, blinked, and yawned, then smiled a slow, dreamy smile that made all 3 adults smile back without thinking. Nia shifted her gently and stood to take her for a short walk by the balcony door. The afternoon light painted a warm path on the floor. Valerie watched them and felt a new kind of respect blooming. Not the proud respect of rank, but the quiet respect for skill and steady care. She spoke into the soft air. "There is a course at the community center," she said. "A short one about baby safety. I saw the flyer last week. If I sign up, will you come with me for the first class?" She said it to Nia, and also to Ethan, and also to the part of herself that did not want to be left behind by new ways. Nia's face brightened. "Yes," she said. "I will go. We can learn together." Ethan smiled too. "I'll drop you both off and pick you up," he said, "and I'll read the handouts." They laughed softly at the picture of a CEO reading handouts at night, but it was an easy laugh, the kind that comes when a hard thing is now a plan you can hold in your hand. The tension that had sat like a heavy coat on everyone's shoulders grew lighter. The house felt like a team space again. There were still small things to fix right away. Nia went to the laundry area and set aside all sheets and sleep sacks to check for any leftover scent. She chose an unscented detergent and started a quick wash cycle. Ethan cleaned the kitchen counter once more and placed the honey jar in the closed cabinet with a small label. "Not for baby." Valerie folded her wool blanket and placed it in a fabric storage bag with a note on top. "For later, when she is older." She tucked the bag on a high shelf next to a box of future toys. She felt a quiet happiness at the idea that time would move and this blanket would find its day in a safe and joyful way. When Nia came back to the living room, she suggested they do a short practice drill for the next feeding to show how the steps would work with 2 adults in the room. It was not dramatic. It was simple and even fun. Valerie checked the time and read the next line from the logbook. Ethan washed his hands for the full 20 seconds and smiled at how long it felt when you counted. Nia warmed the bottle in the bowl and narrated each step in a calm, friendly voice. They all tested the bottle by touching a drop to their wrists and laughing at the small tickle of warmth. Nia fed Maya slowly, paused to burp, and then handed her to Valerie for the upright hold. Valerie patted in small circles, gentle as a feather. No hiccups came, no spit up. Only a peaceful hum from the baby and 3 adults breathing in the same quiet rhythm. After the feeding, they sat again, not to plan, but to share small stories. Valerie told one about Ethan as a toddler, how he used to laugh when bubbles popped on his nose in the bath. Ethan told one about his first week as a father, how he stood in the kitchen at 3 a.m., reading the formula instructions 5 times because he was afraid to get it wrong. Nia told one about her grandmother, who used to tap a notebook after every task and say, "If you write it, you respect it." They smiled at that line and looked at the logbook with new affection. It was no longer a strict ledger. It was the daily story of a child's life, told in times and ounces and tiny notes, about smiles and naps. Before the afternoon ended, Ethan printed an extra copy of the protocol and taped it inside the pantry D. The next morning began in a bright, gentle way. Sunlight touched the floor and the apartment felt fresh and calm. Nia came in early as always. She placed her slippers by the door, washed her hands, and checked the list on the fridge. The care protocol stood in its clear sleeve beside the logbook, neat and easy to read. It felt like a friendly sign that said, "We have a plan." Nia smiled, touched her pen to the page, and wrote the first line of the day. 7. Hands washed, bottles sanitized, blue dot ready. In the nursery, Maya was waking with soft little sounds. Nia lifted her gently and said good morning in her warm, steady voice. She checked the sleep sack, the sheet, the crib rails, and the corners of the room the way she did every day. The faint pink spot on Maya's cheek already looked softer than yesterday. Nia wiped the cheek with cool water and made a small note to watch it again after the morning nap. Ethan stepped out of his room in a plain t-shirt, hair still damp from a quick shower. He looked rested in a new way, like someone whose mind had set down a heavy bag and found a clear path. "Morning," he said. "Morning," Nia answered. "Blue dot bottle in 5. He nodded, then held out his hands for his daughter. "Let me do the first 5 minutes," he said. He stood by the window with Maya, rocking very gently, whispering. A little list of funny items that always made her eyes brighten. Sun, socks, a spoon, stars. He smiled at Nia. "I'm getting good at the slow rhythm," he said. "You are," Nia replied. "It helps her tummy." At 7:10, Nia fed Maya, in the big blue chair. Slow start. Pause to burp. Another few ounces. Check the wrist for temperature. Everything in easy steps. Afterward, she held Maya upright and hummed the little tune that now felt like part of the house itself. No hiccups came. No spit up. Only relaxed hands and a soft sigh. Nia wrote the line to 7:20, feeding complete. Upright 5 minutes, calm. A little message pinged on the shared app. It was from Valerie. "Good morning, thank you for the protocol photo. Baby safety class is Saturday at 10, I signed up. Can I bring cotton sheets today, fragrance-free?" Nia smiled at the tone. It was respectful and clear. Ethan typed back quickly, "Yes, thank you, we'll wash them here." Nia added a thumbs-up icon and then returned to her list. Late morning brought a small test of the new habits. A delivery arrived, a box with a different formula brand inside. The label looked similar to the usual brand, but the scoop size and instructions were not the same. Nia noticed the difference at once. She placed the box on the counter and wrote a sticky note. "Please return. Different brand." Then she messaged Ethan. "Delivery error. I'll use our current supply and place a correct order." Ethan replied, "Good catch. Returning now." It took 2 minutes to fix because the steps were clear and the trust was strong. Small problems stayed small. At noon, Valerie arrived. She pressed the doorbell and waited. When Nia opened, she smiled and held up a simple tote bag. 2 cotton sheets, no scent, the clerk promised. She placed her scarf and shawl into the visitor basket by the door without being asked, then washed her hands for a full 20 seconds, counting in a soft whisper. 1, 2, 3, all the way to 20. She laughed a little when she reached the end. "It's longer than it seems." "I know," Nia said, smiling back. "But it works." They put the new sheets straight into the wash with the unscented detergent. While the machine hummed, Nia showed Valerie the feeding steps. Again, she did not rush. She moved like a teacher who knows that gentle, repeated practice builds a steady hand. Valerie asked small, respectful questions. "How low should the water feel on the wrist? How long do you hold her upright?" Nia answered each one. "Warm, not hot. 5 minutes or until her body feels easy again." They practiced with a clean, empty bottle just to feel the motions. Ethan watched for a minute, then went back to his desk with a hopeful heart. This was the house he had wished for. Calm voices, shared steps, care without pride. After the afternoon nap, the pink spot on Maya's cheek had almost faded. Nia took a picture and sent it to the pediatric nurse through the secure chat, with a short note. "Spot fading after cool water and fragrance-free sheet. Baby comfortable." The nurse replied, "Great job. Keep doing what you're doing." Nia stuck the nurse's message into the app so everyone could see it. Little affirmations help keep a team steady. Saturday came. Valerie and Nia went to the baby safety class at the community center. The room looked bright and friendly, with chairs in a circle and posters that showed safe sleep tips and simple first aid steps. An instructor set a small infant practice mannequin on a mat. Valerie's face was a mix of nerves and focus. Nia's face was calm and encouraging. The instructor spoke in simple words and showed how to check breathing, how to do chest compressions for an infant, how to respond if a baby coughs or chokes. They practiced with slow, careful hands. The instructor said, "Remember, you are the calm in the room. You bring the steady voice." Valerie pressed her hands in the right place and counted out loud. Nia nodded and counted with her. Later, when the class talked about foods to avoid before age 1, the instructor said, "No honey yet. It can carry tiny germs that a young body cannot fight." Valerie took notes and underlined that line twice. On the way out, she bought a small first aid kit and a simple booklet called Baby Basics at Home. She held them like gifts. When they returned to the apartment, Ethan met them at the door with Maya in his arms. "How was class?" he asked. "Good," Valerie said, and her voice carried a quiet pride. "I learned new things. I unlearned old things. It felt freeing." She handed him the booklet and the first aid kit. "This belongs here, I think." Nia added one more idea to the care plan. A tiny what-if section with the pediatrician's number bolded. She printed it and slid it behind the protocol in the clear sleeve. The sleeve now held their promise on the front and their backup plan on the back. It looked simple. It was strong. Monday brought a happy surprise. During morning playtime, Maya pushed up on her little hands and knees, rocked once, and then sat back on her bottom without help. She stared at her own balance with wide eyes, then squealed in delight. Nia clapped softly and said, "You did it." Ethan ran from the office with his phone and caught the second try on camera. Valerie, who had come by with a basket of fresh fruit and a small card, saw the video and wiped her eyes. It was only a tiny moment, an everyday child milestone, but in that house it felt like a ribbon being tied around the week. Nia wrote the line in the logbook with a small flourish. Maya sat without help for 4 seconds. Very proud, Ingbar drew a happy face next to the words. That evening, Ethan asked Nia to sit for a minute. He had a small envelope on the table and a warm look in his eyes. "You kept my daughter safe. You kept our home steady. You helped us turn a hard moment into a clear plan. I am grateful." He slid the envelope to her. Inside was a kind, simple card with a short note in his handwriting and a letter from the agency confirming a raise and paid training for any courses Nia wished to take this year. There was also a new title on the household document: Family Care Coordinator. It sounded formal, but what it really said was, "We see you." Nia's eyes filled, but she kept her smile gentle. "Thank you," she said. "I'll keep giving my best." Valerie asked for a copy of the protocol to take home. She taped it inside her pantry door, just as Ethan had done. She even wrote the same short line at the top in her own handwriting: "We choose care over pride." At dinner that night, she told an old friend about the class and about the new rules, and the friend said she wished she had those steps when her grandchildren were small. Valerie sent her a photo of the protocol and wrote, "It's simple. That's why it works." By midweek, the home had a comfortable rhythm that made everyone breathe easier. The visitor basket by the door felt like part of the room now. The top cabinet held teas and sweet things far from any baby items. The logbook pages filled with steady lines, times, ounces, naps, smiles, tiny notes like "loved the yellow duck today" and "laughed at the word banana." There were no dramatic scenes, only the quiet work of care repeated with patience. Those are the days that build trust, plain, good days without sharp corners. One afternoon, a neighbor stopped by with a small gift. She stood at the threshold and said, "May I come in?" Nia showed her the basket and the hand wash sink, and the neighbor followed the steps happily. As she left, she whispered, "Your home feels peaceful." Ethan heard it and held that sentence in his mind like a soft stone he could keep in his pocket. peaceful. He had not used that word about his own home in a while. Now it fit. Near the end of the week, Naya invited a backup sitter from the agency to shadow for an hour. This was part of the plan, too, a safety net for future days when Nia might need a morning off or when Ethan might have to travel. Nia walked the sitter through the protocol and the checklist. Valerie joined for 10 minutes, asked a few questions, and thanked the sitter for coming. It felt professional and kind, not stiff. When the sitter left, she said, "Everything is so clear here. It makes it easy to do a good job." Nia wrote, one more line in the logbook. Backup trained. Protocol reviewed together. The pink spot on Maya's cheek disappeared fully by the weekend. The new cotton sheets came out of the dryer soft and scent-free. Valerie touched them with a smile, and this time the smile held no worry. Instead, it held a quiet promise to keep following.